They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. But when I came back, all I found were unanswered questions and the scent of betrayal hiding behind the steam. I had been gone for 3 weeks. A long trip, one of those heavy, soul-draining business runs where the hotel room starts to feel more like a prison cell than a place to sleep. But I didn't mind. Because every night, before falling asleep, would think of her, her laughter, her sleepy morning voice, the way she always made tea even though she preferred coffee. My wife. 10 years together, and somehow, we hadn't worn each other down. Even with the distance and the travel, we'd kept things alive. Playful texts, surprise postcards, inside jokes that still made us snort laugh like teenagers. She was my person. My home. So when I opened our front door and stepped into the soft light of our apartment, I wasn't expecting anything more than what we'd always had. Familiar smells. Her arms. Home. She ran to me before I could even set down my suitcase. Jumped into my arms like she had in the early days, before the mortgage and the leaky sink and the shared calendar. Her hair smelled like lilac and laundry detergent. We didn't speak for a full minute, just held each other like we were scared the other might vanish again. The next few days blurred in the best way. Takeout containers stacked on the kitchen counter. Laughter spilling out from behind locked doors. Lazy mornings where we stayed in bed until noon. For once, we had nowhere to be. No deadlines, no business dinners, no obligations. Just us. But then, midweek, she brought it up. The bathhouse. I told Lena I'd go, she said casually, folding laundry on the couch. We've been meaning to for weeks. Just a girl's thing. You don't mind, right? I didn't. Or I told myself I didn't. The idea of her at a bathhouse wasn't strange, it was surreal. She'd always said she hated them. Too hot. Too awkward. Like being naked with strangers, she used to joke. But now, she was all in. Giggling about eucalyptus scrubs and cucumber water like she was born in a spa. I shrugged. Sure. Have fun. She kissed my cheek, a soft brush of lips like always, and left with a towel and a tote bag. The first time, I ignored the feeling in my chest, the tight, sharp pressure that said something wasn't adding up. The second time she went, 2 days later, that feeling didn't just come back. It screamed. The third time she said she was going to the bathhouse, I was holding a paint roller in one hand and a half-empty can of eggshell white in the other. We'd been planning to redo the spare room for months, and suddenly she was too busy to help, again. Is this going to be a weekly thing now? I joked, though my voice cracked around the edges. She looked at me from the hallway mirror, brushing her hair. What, the bathhouse? Don't be dramatic. It's just something new. Relaxing. But that wasn't the part that bothered me. It was the fact that she used to hate bathhouses. Said they gave her migraines. Said she felt suffocated by the steam. I remembered once she even got into an argument with her sister about it at a family dinner. Not my thing, she had said with finality. So what had changed? I tried not to jump to conclusions. But when someone you know better than anyone starts rewriting their habits, their stories, their preferences, your mind doesn't stay quiet. It races. It whispers things you don't want to hear. It draws maps to places you don't want to go. That night, I lay in bed alone, staring at the ceiling while her side of the bed stayed cold for hours. I scrolled aimlessly through my phone, not looking for anything in particular, just something to distract from the knot twisting tighter in my stomach. By the time she got home, the bathhouse had closed hours ago. She said they stayed late talking in the cafe. I smiled. Said I was glad she had fun. But something had cracked open inside me. 2 days later, she grabbed her tote bag again and kissed my cheek. Back soon. This time, I didn't say anything. I waited 10 minutes. Then I grabbed my keys, threw on a hoodie, and left. I wasn't going to follow her. I told myself that. I just wanted confirmation. Clarity. A reason to stop feeling like I was losing my grip on reality. On the way to the bathhouse, fate intervened in the most casual way. I saw Lena, the very friend my wife was supposed to be with, walking out of a cafe with a shopping bag and a latte. She didn't notice me at first. "Hey!" I called, trying to keep my voice even. "Lena?" She turned, surprised. "Oh, hey. You're back from your trip?" "Yeah. Just, running errands." "I thought you were at the bathhouse with," I stopped myself too late. Lena tilted her head. "Bathhouse? I haven't been there in, 6 months. I thought it gave her headaches." She smiled, clearly unaware of what she'd just detonated. I stood there for a second, my blood turning to ice. "Right," I said, my voice suddenly distant. "Guess I was confused." She waved goodbye, and I walked away. But I didn't go home. I kept walking, straight to the bathhouse. I had to know. The bathhouse sat at the end of a quiet street, tucked between an old grocery store and a row of faded brick apartments. Steam curled from vents above the roof, spilling lazily into the evening air. From the outside, it looked like every other bathhouse, peaceful, secluded, unassuming. But as I stood in front of its frosted glass doors, all I felt was a hollow ache in my chest. The kind that comes when you already know the truth, and you're about to see it anyway. I stepped up to the front desk. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a firm, unreadable face, looked up. "Sorry," she said, before I could even speak. "We're closed to the public right now." I blinked. "Closed? Private group rental. Tuesdays and Fridays, we close early." That lined up. That was exactly when she'd been coming. My voice caught in my throat. "Can I just look around? My wife's supposed to be here." Her expression changed slightly. More guarded now. "Are you with the volunteer group?" I might be." Before she could respond, the heavy door behind her opened with a cheerful squeal, and a flood of little voices filled the air. Children. Dozens of them, tiny, giggling, bouncing as they ran barefoot across the tiled floor. Some wrapped in colorful towels, others still wet from the baths, their faces flushed and glowing. And in the middle of them, was her. My wife. Hair pinned back. Sleeves rolled. A towel slung over one shoulder. She was kneeling to help a little boy with his slippers when she saw me. Her smile faltered. Then she stood quickly, murmured something to another woman, and walked straight toward me. "Let's talk," she said, her voice low and steady. We stepped into a side room, just a small changing area with wooden benches and a row of lockers. She closed the door behind her and didn't speak right away. She didn't look angry. Just tired. "I should have told you," she began. "I didn't mean to lie. I just didn't know how to explain it." I said nothing. Just stared, waiting. She took a deep breath. 2 weeks ago, I met a woman from the local orphanage at the grocery store. They were dealing with a water main break. The whole building had no running water, no showers, nothing. She was trying to get bottles for the kids. Her voice caught, but she kept going. I asked if I could help. That's how I found out the bathhouse owner is a former orphan himself. He agreed to let them use this place twice a week. But they don't have enough staff to manage all the children. So I volunteered. I looked at her, the confusion settling into something else. Not anger, not betrayal. Something deeper. Something humbling. "And you didn't tell me because I didn't know how you'd react," she said softly. "It wasn't just about the bathhouse. It was about how I felt. Useful. Needed. Alive. I wanted to do something that wasn't about us. Something good. And I didn't want you to think I was hiding it to be secretive, but I was, and that's on me. I sank onto the bench. The tension drained out of my shoulders, replaced by guilt. I had assumed the worst. I had followed her here. I had let doubt creep into something sacred between us. But before I could say anything, the door creaked open a little. A child's voice rang out. Mom. The word hit the air like a match striking flint. Mom. My breath caught. A little girl, no older than 5, stood in the doorway, her curls still damp, towel askew around her tiny shoulders. She wasn't confused. She wasn't mistaken. She saw my wife, and she knew her. Without hesitation, she ran forward and threw her arms around her waist. You said you'd braid my hair after. My wife knelt instinctively, wrapping her arms around the girl and kissing her forehead. I will, sweetheart. Just 1 minute, okay? Go find Lena and tell her to wait for me. The girl nodded and skipped away. My wife stood slowly. Her name's Hope. It took me a full beat to find my voice. She called you Mom. She nodded, not hiding the emotion welling up in her eyes. She started doing that a few days ago. I didn't correct her. Why? Because I didn't want to. Silence stretched between us, full of questions I didn't know how to ask, and answers she hadn't yet given. She walked toward the window, her hands nervously wringing the edge of her towel. She was abandoned, she finally said. Her parents died in a car crash 2 years ago. She's been in the system ever since. Bounced from one place to another. Nobody wanted a kid her age. Not with the trauma. Not with the night terrors. Her voice cracked. But she's good, you know. So good. She always tries to be brave. I could see it now. The bags under my wife's eyes weren't from stress, they were from worry. The late nights. The extra laundry. The silence when I asked how her day was. All of it. She got attached, she said. But I got attached too. And I didn't want to tell you yet because I didn't want to scare you off. I stood slowly, heart pounding, every assumption I had made now crumbling beneath me. Scare me off? I know we never talked seriously about kids, she said. Not after that last fight. I thought you'd say no. Or that it was too much. That she's not ours. She looked at me then, and I realized she wasn't just explaining. She was waiting. Waiting to be left. Waiting for me to say something cruel. Waiting for this to be the moment she'd remember for the rest of her life, when everything fell apart. Instead, I stepped closer. I cupped her face. She doesn't need to be ours for us to love her. Tears welled in her eyes. We'll talk about what this means, I added. But first, maybe, braid her hair? Her sob was half laugh, half collapse, and I held her until it passed. We didn't talk much on the drive home. The city was quiet, washed in amber from the streetlights and early evening haze. Her hand rested lightly on the gearshift between us, not gripping mine, not yet, but close enough to mean something. When we got back to the apartment, the air felt different. No longer heavy with suspicion or silence. Just still. Waiting. She went to shower first. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my half-empty coffee mug, thinking about how close I'd come to losing everything. Not because of what she'd done, but because of what I thought she was capable of doing. When she joined me, damp hair pulled into a low bun, she didn't sit. She stood beside me, arms crossed tightly across her chest. I should have told you the truth from the beginning, she said. I didn't mean to shut you out. I just didn't want to make it harder. I looked up at her, and for the first time in days, I didn't feel that twist of doubt in my gut. I thought you were lying, I admitted. I followed you today because I couldn't stand not knowing. She winced but didn't interrupt. I let this idea grow in my head, I continued. That you were hiding something ugly. That I wasn't enough anymore. And instead, you were out there doing something beautiful. We were quiet again. Then she pulled out the chair across from me and finally sat down. Her social worker said there's a chance she might get moved soon. Unless someone steps in. Permanently. My throat tightened. You want to adopt her? I do. But not without you. I studied her face, and I saw it. Not desperation. Not a plea. Hope. Raw, real, and cautious. The kind that only grows in the wreckage of disappointment. I leaned forward, resting my arms on the table. She's already calling you Mom, I said, my voice quiet. And maybe that's all I needed to hear. She blinked, tears slipping free. Maybe we should think about bringing her home, I said. The moment the words left my mouth, her hand shot out and covered mine. It trembled. Her lips parted, but she didn't speak, she just gripped me with everything she had. And that was enough. The next trip came sooner than expected. Just 3 weeks after everything, after the confessions, the forgiveness, the paperwork that marked the beginning of something new, I was back on the road. Another business trip, another airport terminal, another suitcase full of suits and promises. But something was different this time. Because this time, I wasn't rushing home just to see her. I was rushing home to see them. The elevator ride to our apartment had never felt longer. My hands itched with anticipation. When the doors opened, I heard it before I saw it, a muffled giggle, then the thunder of little feet on the hardwood floors. Then I heard her voice. Daddy's home. Hope. She sprinted down the hall in mismatched socks and a paint-streaked shirt, arms outstretched. She crashed into me at full speed, wrapping her little arms around my waist like her life depended on it. I dropped my bag and scooped her up, burying my face in her curls. Behind her, my wife stood in the doorway, smiling through tears, holding a paintbrush. We were making welcome signs, she said, motioning to the living room. Crayon drawings, glitter glue, and a banner hung slightly crooked across the wall, "Welcome home, Daddy." I looked at it, messy, chaotic, imperfect, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Later that night, Hope curled up on the couch between us, her head in my lap, fast asleep before the second commercial break. My wife rested her hand on mine, and for a long while, we just sat there, no words, no tension, no ghosts between us. Just the warmth of a child's breath and the quiet hum of a life reshaped. She looked up at me, eyes tired but glowing. "Do you still feel like she's not ours?" I shook my head. I couldn't even remember what it felt like not to love her. We didn't need biology. We didn't need matching last names. We had something better, choice. We chose each other. And in that choice, we found a family. A real one. Just steam and scars and all.